Hey, 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 it's AAA Wednesday, which stands for Ask Alyssa Anything. This is my weekly Q&A session where I'm popping into the comments and responding to questions you've left about writing, publishing, editing, and everything and anything in between. I really love hearing more about where you are all at on your journey and helping out as much as I can. So I hope you're enjoying these sessions as much as I am. 2 quick things before we dive into the questions today. Number 1, it takes about 1 second, but if you hop down and hit that thumbs up button, it really helps out my channel in a big way, and I really appreciate it. Number 2, if you're new here or you've seen a couple videos but haven't yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all of my other content. In addition to these Q&As, I also post weekly deep dives either into some aspect of the publishing industry or tactical writing advice, especially geared towards novelists. All right, now without further ado, let's dive into the first question today. Hi, Alyssa. I am so happy that I came across your videos. They have definitely helped me get inspired to write the story I've been working on since the end of elementary school. I'm 27 now. I haven't written anything substantial in years and am prepared to put in the work to publish. The one thing I'm dreading is writing the major action scenes like wars or the resolution in my fantasy story. I'm worried that they won't come across as genuine and might seem anticlimactic. Do you have any tips for writing the climax? The climax is such an important component of your story because essentially the entire narrative has been building up to this moment. And as a result, you want to make sure it delivers a great reading experience and satisfies the reader. Think of the climax as the payoff. This is the moment where all of the points of tension that you've built in your narrative are coming to a head, and we're seeing some kind of confrontation. There's a lot of pressure put on the climax for that reason because it is so important to your story. But my advice to write a strong climax would be to really inhabit your POV character or characters here. They are the characters through which we are experiencing the entire story. And it's very important that during the climax, we feel connected to their emotional responses. So don't just rely on the external action to convey the emotional landscape of the scene. Really dive deep and illuminate the POV characters' interiorities for us. After all, seeing their emotional response to this confrontation is what we have been waiting for throughout the entire story. So make sure we're getting that emotion on the page. Don't shy away from letting us know how the POV characters are thinking, feeling, reacting, and responding to the events of the climax. And show us where they're left at the end of it. Are they better or worse off than they were going into that confrontation? If you keep us aligned to the POV characters throughout the entire story, but especially the climax, then you're going to deliver a strong reading experience. Here's the next question. Hey, I'd like to know if there is a way to tell how much description of daily places and common elements should be included in first-person POV. I am writing a historical fiction novel, and I'm struggling with descriptions. I feel like my main character would not notice the things in her room because there's nothing important or relevant to move the story forward. You want to give the reader enough details regarding the character's environment so that we feel immersed in the scene without bogging the narrative down with too many mundane details that don't actually add anything to the story. If you are writing a novel in which the setting is not our familiar contemporary world, even if the POV character we are following wouldn't necessarily notice some things, you still want to call out enough detail so we can begin to visualize the stage that they're acting upon. Call our attention to a few key details that help us fill in the gaps as to what this environment or this room or this place looks like. For instance, if we're in the main character's bedroom, do they have a lot of posters or photographs on the wall, or are they bare? Those types of details actually tell the reader a lot about that character. And of course, they help give your writing a more cinematic quality where we can feel like we're seeing the scene play out in our head. In novels where the setting is more detached from our contemporary landscape, such as fantasy or historical fiction, these types of details can actually do some world-building work as well. For instance, if you describe a type of phone that's in the character's home, that can help signal the time period, depending on what that device looks like, right? A few details here and there will go a long way, but don't feel like you need to spend paragraphs and paragraphs describing the room in detail. The reader will fill in those gaps, but do give us a few details from which we can then conjure in our mind a fuller picture of the scene. If you've been enjoying my YouTube videos, I have great news. There are so many more resources waiting for you on my newsletter website, chapter-break.com. Every week, I'm either dishing out an exclusive interview with a literary agent or a best-selling author, or I'm doing deeper dives into specific editorial issues straight from my experiences working directly with clients on their manuscripts. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, it's free and you will get my story self-assessment worksheet as a bonus. This is a resource I designed for anyone who's struggling to figure out where they stand with their draft. It's going to help you identify the strengths and the weaknesses and set a game plan for where to take it from here. The links to download your free story self-assessment and check out my newsletter archive are in the description. Here's the next question. How many drafts should I go through before submitting to literary agents? I've come across some agencies that allow submissions of works in progress, although I've always believed to have the most polished work before submitting. Would love to hear your thoughts, and thank you for the videos. They've been a huge help. So happy to hear the videos have been helpful. Regarding how many drafts to go through before you start querying agents, frankly, every author and every manuscript is different. What I can tell you is that you do want to make the manuscript as strong as you possibly can before querying. Because if you're presenting agents a more polished manuscript, that's going to increase the likelihood that agents express interest in reading more and ultimately wanting to offer representation. If you present agents a half-baked project or a first draft that's really, really messy, it's more likely that they're going to see a lot of work that needs to get done to it before it's in a place where they feel comfortable submitting it to publishers. And they would likely encourage you to do that developmental work before coming back to them. Some authors might go through 2, 3, 4 drafts before submitting to literary agents. Other authors might go through 10, 12 drafts before submitting to literary agents. Every situation is different because, of course, every story is different and has different level of developmental needs. Trust your instinct. Get feedback from trusted sources, whether that's a beta reader, critique partner, or a professional editor, and just do your best to make sure you're presenting literary agents a version of the story that aligns with your vision and that you feel confident in. We have time for one more question today. Since the social media platform formerly known as Twitter has sucked since Elon took over, do you think that Threads, the Instagram version of Twitter pretty much, is a viable substitute for the writing community when it comes to connecting with agents, other writers, and anyone else in the publishing industry? Thanks for taking the time to respond, and I absolutely love your channel. Thank you so much for the kind words. Twitter had a large foothold in the writing and publishing community. Many publishing professionals were and are on Twitter, and so are many authors, and a lot of discourse around writing and publishing happens on the platform. Now, I will admit Twitter/X is in kind of a weird place. Some authors and editors and literary agents are leaving the platform, but I am still seeing it be used among the community. So if you have any interest in engaging on the platform, I do think you will still find publishing people there. The closest thing that I have seen to a substitute for Twitter/X is Threads up to this point. Because a lot of writers and editors and literary agents are already on Instagram, I think that was the most natural shift for them to also make Threads profiles. So I have definitely seen people in the community start using Threads. I don't know if it's being used quite as much as Twitter still, but it's certainly worth checking out if you have any inclination. Thank you so much to everyone who asked a question. If you have something you'd like to ask, drop it in the comments here and it will be added to my queue for my next session. Before you head out, don't forget your story self-assessment worksheet waiting for you in the description below, and check out my Chapter Break newsletter. Before you X out, if you could give this video a thumbs up, it really helps out my channel a lot, and subscribe if you haven't yet joined our amazing community. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.